welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Congenital Heart Surgery Database monthly webinar. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, August the 15th. So welcome everyone. Summer is flying by. On the agenda today, just going to provide a super brief STS update, and then I'll turn things over to Chastity and Leslie. They have a lot of information to cover, like I said. On the call with me today, I just wanted to thank Addie from the STS side. We have Addie Dolan, we have Emily Conrad, we have Melinda joining, and then we have obviously Chastity and Leslie for our CHSD consultants, and Dr. Subramanian is on the call with us today. So thank you everyone for joining. Dr. Subramanian, thank you for being on. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. All right, let's hop into some STS updates. Again, not much, I don't have any new information from our last call. Again, the 6.23.2 training manual was posted and it is available. The STS website and IQVIA library cleanup is continuing. I just checked prior to this call, and it looks like the STS website has not quite been updated yet, but marketing is working on it. It is in progress. So again, just the purpose of that cleanup is to maintain version control of our documents. And again, moving forward, the additional resources, such as the rules to determine primary diagnosis and primary procedure, as well as the STS combination procedure codes, will now be included in the analysis overview and training manuals moving forward. The Appendix C will still remain a separate document. Currently, that document is housed under the version 3.41 page. That is being moved to the 6.23.2 page. And again, there were just very minor updates to include reference to 6.23.2. And I highlighted all of the combination procedures. Please note there were no changes made to any scores or categories. Again, I just updated that document to include reference to the proper version 6.23.2. I think it did refer to 6.23.1 previously, but again, just updated that documentation and reference to the proper version. The fall 23 harvest is underway, and we are exactly 1 month away from the harvest close date. The harvest is scheduled to close September 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, and our opt-out date is no later than September the 19th. As in previous harvests, STS will be sending that communication approximately 2 weeks prior to the close for those at risk for exclusion. That email will be coming from me directly, so that email will be coming to participants at risk for exclusion approximately 2 weeks prior to the harvest close. If you have any questions about that document or once those emails come out again, please feel free to reach out to me directly. It's just another resource that we're providing for you all to ensure that your data is cleaned up and ready for analysis. Just another resource for you to ensure that all your data is as clean as possible and you're not missing any key variables, have any missing data to be included into the analysis and risk model. That is, again, like I said, super brief STS update. I'm going to turn things over to Chastity and Leslie so they can kick off their education. So they will continue with our 6.23.2 education. So Chas, Leslie, it's all yours.
Thanks, Leanne. Hi, everyone. It's Leslie. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. I'm so sorry. It's Leslie, same one as always. So today we are going to go over some updates to Fontan procedure coding and then training manual updates brought to you by Chastity. Okay, next slide. Okay, in particular, we're going to be talking about this combination code, the Fontan plus atrioventricular valvuloplasty code. This and only this code is going to be what we're talking about. Next slide. And specifically 1025 Fontan revision or conversion or redo Fontans. So again, just this part, we're going to kind of go through a few different ways this impacts our coding, but specifically we're looking at the combination code 2340 and how that works with 1025, the redo Fontan. Next slide. Okay, so 1025, the Fontan revision or conversion or redo Fontan. what we have noticed, to give a little background and why we're doing this, is that a revision and a version are inherently different things. Revising something that already exists or converting to something new. So the task force expressed a desire to try to separate these two procedures, which, as we all know, can't be done mid-version, even though we're at the very beginning. We can't really separate those until we can add or change procedure codes. So what we're going to be introducing is sort of a short-term solution to this issue to hopefully get a little bit more specific data as much as possible. Next slide. Okay, so first things first, the Fontan, when it's your initial Fontan procedure and when done with an atrioventricular valvuloplasty, nothing is changing. You're still going to code the type of Fontan plus the type of the AV valvuloplasty, and you can code the combination procedure itself, 2340, in addition to those more specific codes. That has not changed. As we've said, include those granular codes, include the combo code if you prefer to, but when you send all those codes in, there's a process on the analytic side for taking all the individual codes and making sure the correct combos are in there. So same as always, when it's the initial Fontan done with an AV valvuloplasty, no changes. Code the type of Fontan, code the type of AV valvuloplasty and the combo code, and you're good to go. Next slide. Okay, for revisions to existing Fontans, also when done with an AV valvuloplasty, if the circulation itself is staying the same, the type of Fontan is staying the same, and the operation is to revise the existing circulation, so removing a clot or shortening the conduit, then you're going to code 1025 Fontan revision and the type of AV valvuloplasty. So I did, you can kind of see, it's a little hard to see, but that 830 is in italics. And the reason why is because in 623, that also is the systemic AV valve. That wasn't the case, as you know, in prior versions. So I just wanted to highlight that in 623 going forward, it's the systemic AV valve. And that really is the qualifying part of this combo code anyhow. Okay, so the Fontan revision gets coded 1025, the AV valvuloplasty gets coded, and the combination code 2340 gets coded. And your primary procedure is then the combination code 2340 Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty. That's just a reminder, that's really the same that we've always done. Okay, next slide. All right, here's the change, possibly a change. When converting to a new type of Fontan, so you're going from a lateral tunnel to an extracardiac Fontan, you're going to code the new Fontan type, so that's that 950 through 1010, 2780, etc. Code the new Fontan type and the type of AV valvuloplasty. Next slide. Plus code 1025 Fontan revision or conversion. You can also code that combo 2340 Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty, but in these cases, when it's a conversion, the primary procedure is 1025. This will be done on the back end. You're going to submit your individual codes, the new type of Fontan, the type of AV valvuloplasty, and the Fontan revision. And on the back end, upon analysis, they're going to take the combination from the new type of Fontan plus the AV, that equals 2340, leave 1025 separately, and then our normal rules for determining primary procedure apply. So those both have procedure specific factors. The 1025 has the higher stat score, and so that then becomes your primary procedure. So this really is to all of our benefit to make sure that we're coding it this way and including all of those individual codes to make sure that it's correctly going to come out as a Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. Oops, I already said this, I forgot to put the slide in here, but upon analysis, the combination code will be applied to the specific Fontan and not to the Fontan revision or conversion. Okay, next slide again. Okay, I'm a visual learner, so I just put this out in case anyone wants to. This might be a good one to sort of print and keep by your computer. That 2340 kind of has 3 different meanings, I guess. Your initial Fontan plus the ABV, no change, code the type of Fontan and the type of AV valvuloplasty. A redo Fontan, meaning a subsequent Fontan when it's a revision to the existing Fontan circulation, plus an AV valvuloplasty. Code the revision, and then code the type of AV valvuloplasty. And then a subsequent redo Fontan when it's a conversion, plus an AV valvuloplasty. Code the new type of Fontan, plus the type of AV valvuloplasty, plus the conversion code 1025. Now, one caveat is that this will be done on the back end, but right now, this applies for 623 procedures forward, and the procedure mismatch report in IQVIA is not yet updated. So just bear that in mind for anyone doing continuous harvest, that we won't see this right away. This takes a little bit of time to get IQVIA programming done, approved, and then in place. So just keep that in mind. Maybe print this or print another slide just to kind of remind you. But those are the differences. Okay, next slide. As another reminder, Fontan procedures without an AV valvuloplasty, there's no change, does not affect, there's nothing, no special rules for that. And then 3600, which is a new 623 procedure, which is for Fontan takedown. We want to reserve this for use when taking down the Fontan circulation. So if you're going back to a Glenn or Hemi, not when you're taking down and putting back. It's going to be only takedowns without replacing the Fontan circuit. And then just another reminder, I don't think we can say this enough, code everything, all the codes, all the procedure codes that are done within the operating room, within that procedure. Next slide. Okay, I came up with just a couple case scenarios to make sure that this makes sense in practice. So this one is an HLHS patient who presents status post-Hemi Fontan for a fenestrated lateral tunnel Fontan procedure. There are no complications. The patient is transferred without incident to the CVICU for recovery. Which procedure code should be captured? Next slide. And in this one, we are just capturing the Fontan lateral tunnel fenestrated. Next slide. Okay, this patient is status post-Fontan and returns for a revision of the external conduit. Which procedure codes should be captured here? Just the Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty, or a Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. And this one is just the Fontan revision or conversion. We've just done something to that conduit that already existed. Next slide. This patient is status post-Fontan and returns to the OR for conversion from a fenestrated lateral tunnel Fontan to a fenestrated external conduit Fontan. Which procedure codes in this case should be captured? Just the Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty, or Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. And so for this one, you'll code the Fontan, the new type of Fontan, plus the Fontan revision or conversion. There's no AV valvuloplasty, so we don't need to worry about the combo code. Okay, next slide. Our HLHS patient is presenting status post-Hemi Fontan for a fenestrated lateral tunnel Fontan procedure and a systemic AV valvuloplasty. In this case, which procedure code should be captured? Fontan lateral tunnel, Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty, mitral or systemic AV valve. Next slide. And in this case, all 3 can be coded: the type of Fontan, the type of AV valvuloplasty, and the overall combo. Next slide. Patient is status post-Fontan and returns for a revision of the external conduit and systemic AV valve. Which procedure codes here? This is the valvuloplasty, mitral or systemic AV valve, the combo for Fontan plus AV valve, and the Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. And again, with this one, you can code the revision, the type of I went in the wrong order. I'm sorry. I'm making this more confusing than it needs to be. We'll start over. For this one, you're going to code the valvuloplasty for the AV valve, the combo, and the Fontan revision. Next slide. This patient is status post-Fontan, returns for conversion from a fenestrated lateral tunnel to a fenestrated external conduit Fontan and a systemic AV valvuloplasty. Which procedure codes should be captured? So here we have the valvuloplasty for the systemic AV, the Fontan external conduit, the combination Fontan plus AV valvuloplasty, and the Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. And in this case, again, you're going to code all of these. The valvuloplasty, mitral or systemic, that's the type of AV valvuloplasty. The new type of Fontan, the external conduit, the combination Fontan plus AV valve, and the Fontan revision or conversion. Next slide. Okay, Chas.
Thank you, Leslie. That was most excellent. And we will get these examples updated in the next update of the training manual, just so that you have these examples to work with as you start coding your data. So what I would like to focus on then is, as you've seen, the new training manual has been updated for the month of August, and we're likely to see another update here shortly. So just a reminder, the training manual updates will be made at least monthly. So usually they are following our call, our core group call, which actually is later on today. And so in case there are clarifications and things that need to be made, they'll be made after that call and then posted to you. However, especially now in the beginning when things are being pointed out or things that perhaps we missed or the task force was still weighing in on, you may see more frequent updates than monthly. And so just, you know, when you go to code a case and you're going to open the training manual, I advise that you go to the STS website daily and make sure that it hasn't been updated since the last one that perhaps you downloaded to, you know, your desktop or a local drive. So just knowing that at least monthly, and if not greater than monthly right now, as we're rolling things out. You'll notice in the training manual that we will denote changes to the training manual. Mostly these will occur in the intent clarification sections, sometimes in the definition as well, but they'll be denoted in red font so that you can easily see those when you're looking at those specific fields. And then please know, oh, back a little bit.
Yep. Sorry about that.
The kinds of things, oh, you're fine. The kinds of things you're going to see updated in the training manual could be based on questions that you pose to us that we take to the core group and we discuss and then put back into a training manual update. These could be decisions that are being weighed upon by the task force. And, you know, every month we have a couple things from the database that does go to the task force for decisions. And so that will be an ongoing occurrence. And I think that that just makes our data better as we're really seeing, you know, a real world application of the data and people that come back with really good suggestions or things that could be done differently. And then also just general updates. And so again, always be looking for the most recently posted training manual on the STS website. So you can see, I have a little screenshot there below that there was one that was put up in the last, I would say, week to 10 days, and it says it's updated August of 2023. So if we update again in August of 2023, maybe we'll say, you know, this is the second update of August. So we'll make sure that you realize it's a new document. Next slide, Leanne. So along with this, we have posted a new document called the FAQ summary. It will also get updated when the training manual is updated. And this will list all of the updates, clarifications, anything that we have added to the training manual. So this way it'll be a cumulative list by date, and you will see everything that gets added to the training manual. So it is called the FAQ summary, but again, anything, whether it came into us as an FAQ or arrives to us by a core group meeting or task force, will get put into the FAQ summary. So I just want to highlight a few changes of what is in this document currently. Next slide. So as you'll see, when you open up the document, it'll list the sequence number, a short name, field name, or kind of general idea of the concept that has been updated in the training manual, and then what has been updated. So you see in the FAQ summary document, it's sequence 440, and it's under pre-op factor multi-stroke or intracranial hemorrhage greater than grade 2 within 48 hours prior to surgery. And this is for patients that are not adult or less than 6,575 days of age at the time of surgery. And you can see that in July, we realized, as pointed out by one of you, that we made an error in the, and this is my error, I won't even say I made an error in the training manual and said greater than or equal to grade 2, and it needs to be greater than grade 2 only. So then if you look down below, I included a screenshot of what happened in the training manual. So again, you see it sequence number 440, the same short name, field name of stroke within 48 hours prior to surgery, code this factor, and in red font, it says greater than grade 2 within 48 hours prior to OR entry date and time. So you can see that it is in the red font what was changed. So it no longer says greater than or equal to grade 2, it is greater than grade 2 only. And you will also notice that the pre-op factor of stroke, CVA, or intracranial hemorrhage greater than grade 2 during your lifetime was also updated, and that is included in the document as well and in the updated training manual. Next slide. So an additional example, this goes along with what Leslie presented in the webinar 2 weeks ago related to the preoperative labs, and I believe these are labs for everyone, adults and pediatrics, if I'm not mistaken. So in the FAQ summary document, it's sequence number 835, white blood cells, and we updated the definition to indicate that the white blood cell count in thousands per microliter, not just microliter as previously stated. And then you see in the definition in the training manual in red, we changed the definition to say thousands K per microliter, closest to the date and time prior to surgery. And so again, this FAQ summary document will match what is updated in the training manual. So if you quickly, every time you want to open the training manual or every time you've seen there's an update, you can update this FAQ summary document and quickly see what has been updated. So the adult database does this, and they like this process quite well to have this freestanding document that kind of mirrors what's been updated in the training manual. And so I think that that's a helpful tool that came over from them, and we appreciate that. Next slide. Oh, well, that's the end of our presentation. So again, in summary, please use the most recent training manual that is posted on the STS website. Do not, for version control purposes, I wouldn't continue to use what you've saved on a local drive or desktop until you've made sure that it hasn't been updated. Please note the updated definitions. As Leslie said in the webinar 2 weeks ago, throw everything out the window that you already knew. There are so many changes to this version, and you're going to have that training manual open and look at all of the definitions for the fields that you are completing. We do know that it's taking more time because everything isn't inherent to us to doing this data. It's true of us as well, Leslie and I, as we're completing our cases. It is taking a little more time right now, and especially adult cases are taking much more time. And so again, anytime anything is new, it's going to take you more time. And once it's under your belt, you're going to start feeling comfortable and being able to, go quickly through these cases. We all just feel new again to this role. And just as in summary, individual questions will not be posted to the training manual. Imagine how many more pages the 1,200 something page training manual would be if we were posting all of the individual questions that are coming in. So again, we have that extra document that will tell you what clarifications and things are made, but you're not going to see the individual questions or the individual answers posted anywhere. And then, of course, Leslie and I and Leanne and everyone at STS is available for help always as you're working through this process. So we're happy to take any questions, unless Leanne, do you want to keep going first and then?
Just real quick. Actually, yeah, I don't have anything else to cover. So if you have questions, just put those into the Q&A, or you can just raise your hand. The raise hand function is available. Just be sure to ensure that your microphone's enabled. But yeah, we have some questions. So let's go ahead and tackle the first one from Nicole. Hello, if our vendor is not upgraded to 6.2, 3.2 yet, is it okay if we are using 341 with the harvest closing on 9/15? So yes, absolutely. So the fall 23 harvest includes data up through June 30th of 2023. So that is including 341 data. So technically, there are no surgery dates with 6.23 records included in the fall 23 harvest. So Nicole, you are absolutely fine for this fall 23 harvest. So for spring 23, obviously, you would need that 6.23 update to submit your cases with OR dates of July 1, 2023 forward. But for the fall 23, you're fine. Let's see here. Our next question from Harish. The email regarding the missing thresholds, is that a one-off email or it keeps coming till harvest close? So that is a one-off email, Harish. That is a report that is run by IQVIA approximately 2 weeks prior to harvest close. So IQVIA will likely run that report for me on probably Thursday or Friday, the 1st. And then they'll send me that information. And basically what they're doing is just looking at the data in the data warehouse at that time or when that report was run. In my communication, I will let you guys know the date of when that report was run. So it's just a one-time thing. I'll send you the information with the percent missing and the itemized list of records that are missing variables. And then you can use that report to clean up your data, resubmit your data to IQVIA, and then you can use the tools within the within the IQVIA platform to ensure that your data is as clean as possible. You can utilize that missing variable report, the participant dashboard. So you'll utilize the tools after that report to ensure that your data is as clean as possible, but it is just a one-time run. All right, so a question from Janet. What is it if you redo the fontan with a larger conduit? I don't know if that's a question for Ram.
I'll take it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Jen, I'll take your next two questions. What is it if you redo the fontan with a larger conduit? That's a fontan revision, not a conversion. It's an excellent question you're asking. For the data managers, I think the best way for you all to think about it is if you go from one form of fontan to another, that's a conversion. If you go in with a fontan and come out with the same fontan orientation, that's a fontan revision. So for example, let's say you move the distal anastomosis in the PA a little bit more medially or a little bit more laterally, but you use the same extracardiac conduit. That's a revision. Use conversion if and only if you go from, say, a lateral tunnel to a fenestrated extracardiac, for example. So for your specific question, that will be a revision, not a conversion. Since this is done in the back, why can't it be applied to 3.41 data as well? The reason we are not going to retroactively use it is because in the past, we have not asked from the data managers to code the additional fontan as well. So if they did a fontan conversion, we did not tell them use the conversion revision code as well as the new fontan code. Some data managers used it. I recognize that. Others didn't. And as you know, there is an STS policy to say that we're not going to ask everybody to go back and change their data from the past. So like all other STS policies, we will implement these prospectively going forward. Please do this as we move in the forward. We recognize that there'll be some discrepancies for data that are being analyzed before or up until now, and we'll just tell you that it equally affects everybody, and we'll learn to take it in the stride. Hope that answers both of Janet's questions.
Thank you, Dr. Subramanian. Chassie, this is a question for you from Janet. Regarding the training manual, will the red text be changed to black at some point?
I haven't given that much thought. My initial thought is no, just so it always matches, what was updated, just ongoing what we changed. But I guess something that can be reviewed and looked at. My personal opinion would be to leave it red so that everybody sees that it was a change.
Chastity, this is Melinda.
Oh,
do you mind if I just describe how we do it? And so maybe
sure, go right ahead, because that's a good idea
for input. So in the training manual, when we put the red in, we put a date beside it. And then the next month we turn it a green color. And then we put the new updates in red. So that's how we do it. I don't know if you would like that idea or not, but it does kind of delineate the brand new stuff versus updates that occurred in the past.
Got it. That's a great idea. We'll take that under review. Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Thank you, Melinda.
Welcome.
My next question from Autumn. I've noticed in the new form there is no specific intubation time, only when the intubation was performed. In the analysis, how does this affect the total intubation times? What will be used as the intubation time?
I could take this. So in the analysis, the intubation duration is taken from OR exit to extubation, not intubation to extubation.
Excellent. Thank you, Leslie.
Mhm.
Next question from Maggie. When submitting my data, including data previously submitted from the spring 23 harvest, I'm getting procedure mismatches for patients who have had a combination code assigned to their procedures for analysis. My understanding was that these combo codes are not available to be used during the abstraction of 341 cases. Will these mismatches just need to remain as is, or is there a way to use these combination codes for 341 cases to eliminate the mismatches?
So I'll take this one, and Leslie, jump in if you have more to say than I get to say or I have said. So Maggie, there were existing combination procedures already prior to version 6.23. And so if these errors are related to combination procedures that were available prior to 6.23, then you would want to update those. To my knowledge, if you have not coded combination procedures in 341 cases that aren't available till 6.23, then I guess I'm not understanding what errors you're receiving in IQVIA.
Maybe
So if
the 5,000 codes?
Yeah, I can.
so Maggie, are you coding 5,000 codes for 341 cases? Like they were available in your software, made available by your vendor? So if you are using those, then yes, you're going to get errors because you cannot code any 623 terms in the 341 cases. Nope, you're not coding the 5,000 codes. So
It's the 5,000 ones though, and it's not filtered by version type in the procedure mismatch.
okay.
Yep.
I too have a handful, I think 20, more than a handful, I guess, 20 to 30 per year where a combination code has been applied, but I can't use that on my side. So I just eyeball it. I can see those are all combo. I can't use that and I move on to the next thing. What I review then are the ones that are not combo mismatches. If that helps. I don't know what was.
Yeah.
We're answering
Maggie, if you need more, send us some screenshots to the FAQ box if you feel like something isn't settling, and we're happy to, so that we can see specifically what's coded and what the IQVIA report is saying.
If it is the 5,000 codes that are the mismatch that they're suggesting you use and you can't,
Right.
that is just going to exist. As we've said, the data will be mismatched. The data will not match locally to what is analyzed until we get all onto the same page of using those 5,000 codes.
Correct. Yeah, and Nicole's saying the thing. It's the 5,000 codes. But yeah, so there's no way to filter it by version type. So Nicole's is making me crazy to see these mismatches because I want them gone. I understand. Okay, let's see here. Okay, from Beth. For clarification, when coding any combination procedure, are we to code the combo code, the combination procedure, as well as the individual codes?
Yes, and I know this is in the training manual and perhaps hard to find as we're all getting used to using the training manual, but under procedures, it does say code everything that was done in the OR setting, as well as the individual procedures that make up the combination code. Because just in case there is a different combination of procedures that are done, you could have a higher stat score or a different primary procedure. So if you list everything, then upon analysis, the correct primary procedure will be applied.
Perfect, thank you. All right, next question from Heather. She's the new analyst for her site. Historically, they have not put in the CPT codes. Is this needed? And if so, how do I obtain this information? And Heather, I'm wondering if you're confusing that with the
Procedure codes.
the procedure, yeah, the harvest codes. So these procedure codes are what are also called known as harvest codes here. These are in the data specifications. These are what identify the specific procedure used in analysis. So you don't necessarily, I don't know if you see the harvest code or procedure code in your software, but this is what is in the data specifications, these codes here, and it's what is used in analysis to identify a procedure that is coded.
So this could also be a vendor deal.
Okay.
There are some vendors that include CPT codes.
Okay.
You're not entering the CPT codes. When you select the appropriate procedures that were completed, then some of those have assigned CPT codes because your vendor has them baked into your software. So you're not entering CPT codes though.
Okay, yeah, and she says she's referring to the CPT1 codes under operative.
Yeah, so that's a
Okay.
vendor specific, not an STS deal at all.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Dr. Subramanian, I think you wanted to discuss the question from Brooke. Was there ever a consensus amongst PC4 and STS to the 30-day readmission field regarding observation status, patients being counted as a readmission or not?
Yeah, Brooke, thank you for the question. There seems to be a little bit of difference in the way observation status is and is not allowed within the various centers that contribute to the STS congenital heart surgery database. So I will take up the observation status discussion to the task force at our next task force meeting. We'll try and reach some consensus within the database and we'll get back to you. In full disclosure, it may or may not be in agreement with how PC4 wants it. And, that's an individual decision every database is going to have to make. For the congenital heart surgery database, we will readdress what we define as readmission based on observation status, and we'll give you an update in the near future.
Thank you, Dr. Subramanian. Let's see, Janet has a question. What happens with a truncus and interrupted aortic arch and you code a truncus separately? Will it be a benchmark and then be primary?
Janet, if you want, you can submit this as an FAQ. I don't have all of the spreadsheets and documents in front of me to look at how that works out, but as with everything, as we have said from pre-go live, the upon submission, all of the individual codes are taken. Any available combination codes then come in and the individual codes are dropped. So sometimes we've kept those individual codes then in a combo code, which still then becomes a benchmark or primary or has PSF. Sometimes that combination is so different than the individual code that we do not want to group it that way. So that's where I don't know specifically with this, I don't know how to answer. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but remember that all of those individual codes come in, then combination codes are applied and the individual codes are dropped. And then it moves forward.
Perfect. Yeah, Jana just she's gonna submit, and she said great explanation, which I agree 100%. That was a great explanation. Thank you, Leslie. Perfect. I'm not seeing any additional questions come in at the moment. So while we're just waiting to see if anything else comes in, just a reminder that we have our next user group call is scheduled for September the 5th. And then our next monthly webinar is September the 19th. Also, just a quick plug. I know I didn't have it on the slide deck for today, but just a reminder that AQO is coming up. So registration is open. And we do encourage you all to get registered for AQO as soon as possible if you've not already done so. I think Emily's on the call, but Emily, did you have anything else you wanted to plug for AQO if I've missed anything?
noticed that there's an agenda on the website now that was uploaded yesterday. And then you can also, if you have not registered and you'd want to do like a justification letter, one of those, it's like kind of explains like why attending AQO would be good for you, and it's addressed to your supervisor, and it says your name in there, and then it's signed by our current STS president. You can request that form as well, and we can get those sent out for you. So just 2 updates.
Perfect. And I just pulled up over on the screen. If you need to find the information for AQO, you can go to our calendar of, just click on the calendar of events, and then click on the link for 2023 advances in quality and outcomes, and scroll down, and all of the information that Emily just described is located here on this page. You can view the agenda and the link to the justification letter, and all other information is located here. The link to register, front of a registration form, all the information is here, and links. If you have any questions regarding registration, you can reach out to our meetings and conventions department. And if you have any questions regarding the abstract submissions or the programs, you can reach out to Emily via this link here. Let's see here. Is there an update in version 6.23.2 for patients who discharge with hospice? Does this count as an operative mortality?
Kate, I believe your question is referring to what was said at AQO in Dr. Fernandez's talk, if I remember correctly. And then we presented this at a recent webinar where we said in the congenital database, a consult to hospice does not equate death. In our database, it's very different in adults, and the adult database also has a drop-down selection for discharge to hospice. And so it's very different than the congenital database. And this is spelled out in the mortality fields in the training manual. But ours is, you know, the time points of how you follow a patient. And so if they go to home, regardless of whether on hospice or not, it will depend on the timing from the last cardiac operation.
Perfect. And thank you. Janet was asking for a public reporting update. Dr. Subramanian, did you have anything you wanted to provide regarding public reporting?
Happy to do that. So the public reporting website needed to be updated. And so the backend website update has now been completed. The expectation is that in this month, the public reporting data will be updated on the website. So it'll be the same format, but just the data will reflect the results of the spring 2023 harvest analysis. That is data that go on to surgeries ending until December 31st, 2022. STS has promised us that there will be another update to the public reporting website later in this year, when it will upload it with data from the fall analysis. I think I'm giving you the dates correctly, but
yes.
So the bottom line is, yes, there's going to be 2 updates, one with the last analysis that was completed and one with the analysis that is currently being completed. Starting in 2024, STS will go back to the annual update of the public reporting website based on the spring harvest data.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Subramanian. All right, perfect. No additional questions. Again, here's the contact information. If you need us, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to us. We are always here to help. You have Leslie and Chastity's email, but if you have clinical questions, please submit those via the FAQ so they can go through the proper channels and through the proper process. Please submit that to the FAQ. And then if you have any questions regarding your access to the IQVIO platform, if you have any questions regarding your harvest submissions, please email stsdb_helpdesk@sts.org.
Leanne,
Yes, ma'am.
before we jump off, I just wanted to mention and thank everyone for their patience and for submitting those FAQs through the correct channel. The FAQs that are coming in are thoughtful, and I know it's taking time to get used to this new version. Not everyone even has it. I don't have it myself. It's a big change, and we know that, and we certainly appreciate all of your efforts and patience in getting through this and getting through all of the questions that are coming in. So just a huge thank you to all of you for your support and patience.
Yep. And Brooke got a question in really quick here at the end. Is there a percent missing threshold for variables that are left blank due to no availability, such as measurements for the adults and lab values? But so no, Brooke, if percent missing thresholds are not based on anything but those mortality fields and those risk model variables. We don't have any percent missing thresholds for any of those variables for the new adult fields. And those lab values. They're strictly based on those mortality variables and the risk model variables as currently outlined in that report overview. But we do encourage you to complete as accurate and complete data as possible. All right. Again, just our next webinar, user group call, September 5th, and next monthly webinar, September 19th. Thank you guys for joining today. Chastity, Leslie, as always, phenomenal presentations. The education you guys provide is so greatly appreciated, and you guys do a phenomenal job. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Subramanian and Dr. Jacobs for joining. And to my STS colleagues, thank you for joining on today's call. Again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next call. Thanks, everyone.